Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Virtual Motorsport Series. We are here tonight at the Autodromo Internacional do Algarve for round 2 of the BPTuning Contender Series Silver Split. Another of the sprint rounds here this evening at the wonderful circuit in the south of Portugal. I'm joined in the box tonight by Charlie. Welcome in, Charlie. How are you doing?
Hello, mate. I'm doing very well. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Not too bad. Looking forward to what I'm sure is going to be an action-packed race. We are just in the switchover period from practice to qualifying. From what we saw of practice just before the stream got started, it is going to be a very, very close race. Really looking forward to it. Obviously, here at the Virtual Motorsport Series, two classes. We've got the Hypercars and the LMGT3s. Moving into qualifying, it will be the LMGT3s that you will see hit the track first. They get 10 minutes to set a valid lap or to start a valid lap. Then you will see the Hypercars come out and queue in the pit lane, and then they get the final 10 minutes of the session to go out and fight for pole. And here we go, switching into qualifying now, and we will be getting going any second. As cars already pulling out of the pit lane, looking to get down towards that end line.
Yeah, this is going to be a really interesting race, especially here at Portimao. Such an amazing track, so much undulation, so much terrain, some really interesting corners there as well, tricky corners as well for Hypercars and GT3s. So it'll be interesting to see how this race goes. I believe it's only a 45-minute race.
These ones are 40 minutes. 40 minutes. These sprint rounds in the BPTuning Contender Series. Yeah, absolutely. You're right. What were you saying? Where are you going?
Short and sweet. Short and sweet.
Yeah, absolutely. Just long enough to not need a pit stop. So it is a proper flat-out sprint race for the majority of these drivers. I was just going to piggyback on what you were saying about the circuit here in the Algarve being such a technical track. It is really a complete mix of technicality. You have long sweeping corners like the final corner. Then obviously you've got the middle sector, which is just one corner after another, whether it's tight and slow like the hairpin that we are just coming down to. Sorry, that this Mustang has just gone through. There is a real mix of corners here at this wonderful track, as I said, in the south of Portugal, right down by the coast. It's only about a 10-15 minute drive from the coastline in the city of Portimao. Although you wouldn't know it looking at the scenery, it looks very hidden away in the mountains, but it's not at all.
Yeah, I've sort of had my experiences of trying to book a visit to the Algarve for European Le Mans and WEC a few years ago, and it's just in the middle of nowhere, really. It's just mountains and mountains and mountains all around. So, you know, it's definitely built into the surface, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And these first qualifying laps coming in now. This is Davide Canton we're watching from the offboard, coming down in towards turn 1. Late braking, downhill braking, always difficult. Obviously the momentum of the car and gravity pulling you down the hill, whilst the brakes try and almost pull you back up it again. Very, very clean though through turn 1 and 2. Strict track limits are enabled in these sessions, so it is difficult to get that car round turn 1 without going outside of the white lines. As he begins the run down towards turn 4 now. Difficult hairpin. You really want a late apex. It's wider than you think it is. Very easy to pick up understeer on the exit, especially in these front-engine cars, which we will see struggle a little bit on their tyres compared to your McLarens and your Porsches. Obviously, rear-engined cars, slightly easier on the front tyres through the final couple of corners where there is quite high load. It's a good first sector time, 22.2. For Davide Canton. Purple at the moment, although that might just be because we haven't had any other valid lap times pop up yet.
And now we've got Aiden Russell in the Mustang also going purple in Sector 1 and Sector 2. So, as Ollie just mentioned, perhaps not the first person through the sectors. So Aiden Russell on a charge here.
Yeah, I believe it is a feature, they might say, of Le Mans Ultimate, is that everyone's sector times appear purple until someone crosses the line, and the game can actually work out if they're purple or not. So you might see that someone's sector time is purple and then becomes not purple because someone set a qualifying time, or the other way round, that someone's sector time isn't purple and then becomes purple when someone else goes to the top of the board, because the top of the board is then the reference for the fastest sector times, not what actually is the fastest sector time. And there we go, that is the first group kind of through and across the timing line. Not anything up on the standings board yet. Hopefully we'll be getting that shortly, the qualifying order, so that we can see kind of who's popped in where. But it's Christoph Rappel who's gone to the top of the times in that number 66 JMW Motorsport Ferrari. Christoph, I believe, was the winner of round 1, if memory serves. I'll have to check I'll have to go and check our own Instagram page to double check that information.
I'll have a quick look for you.
Yeah, indeed it was. So Christoph Rappel and Aiden Russell currently, one behind another, is how they finished the first round in Sebring. The Ferrari and the Ford man falling in line yet again. Lots of Fs going on there. And if we could get the qualifying order board, that would be brilliant. The standings on the overlay, that would be fabulous. It should just be so the class, sorry, in terms of on the overlay, there should be an option to show like the qualifying standings in terms of what the current qualifying order is. Like the live update timings. Yes, that's the one we want. Beautiful. If you select it so that it's LMGT3 only, so it's not mixed, it's just the LMGT3s. That's all good. Yes. Yeah, perfect. There we go. That's the one we want. So it's Marco Galetti just putting himself into third position the last time he crossed the line there, as he comes now sweeping down into Sector 3. Only a couple of corners in this Sector 3, but they are very difficult to get right. Starts off through this sweeping downhill to uphill left-hander. Again, just a tyre killer. Then into this again. Yeah, again, these weird late apex hairpins that Portimao seems to have a couple of sprinkled around the track. They can be very difficult to get right, but Marco Galetti in that Aston Martin Vantage GT3 Evo appears to have them relatively locked down at the moment. We will see as he crosses the line after coming through the final corner here. Is it going to be an improvement for Marco Galetti? Not that time, unfortunately, for Marco. He stays where he is, as Christoph Rappel actually improves at the front for a 44.080. Are we going to see anyone tickle into the 1 minute 43s? That would be a very, very good lap time from an LMGT3 car around here. Juan Viviers as well. Looking like a decent start for the Proton number 77 liveried driver. Just over a second off of pole position in LMGT3 at the moment, but he'll be looking for a better race this time than he had last. It was unfortunately a DNF around Sebring for Juan Viviers, so surely just hoping for a better result this time out at Portimao, even if it's just finishing the race at all, let alone scoring any points. order yet to change at the front. Still Christoph Rappel out front. These cars now only have about a minute and a half left to start a valid qualifying lap. So if you are yet to cross the line, the next time you cross the line will be the start of your last flying lap.
Yeah.
So this will be Aidan Russell's last attempt to get to pole.
He's
And it's fastest in the first sector. By almost 0.2 of a second, Aidan Russell is up in the first sector. It's purple. That's exactly what the Mustang man will have been looking for as he... Oh, massive snap on the exit of turn 4, the hairpin. Oh, that is going to have killed all of his momentum and all of that time that he had gained, I would expect. We'll wait and see as he comes through sector 2. He is now going to be pushing on to try and regain that time, but he's got to be careful he doesn't overstep it. Was that over the white line? It looked like it might have been pushing it a little bit. I think he might be okay. Again, the rear end of that Mustang getting twitchy through the braking zone. Safely inside the white lines on the exit through this difficult downhill, uphill, left-hander in towards the final sector. Where's that sector 2 timing line? It should have been there.
I think he...
Has he invalidated? And is he now trying to push to the line to get another lap in? I think he might be, but it's not going to happen. The flag is going to fly before he can start his final qualifying lap, and I think that lap's invalid. Indeed it is. Oh, big snap. And the Wolf, Aidan Russell and Hill RTG. Secures himself probably second at least. We'll wait and see. I don't know who else we've still got out on track. I believe that's Marco Galetti. Indeed it is in the 777D station, Aston Martin. And he's looking to try and move his way up the order. Oh, again, flirting with that white line on the exit of the penultimate corner.
He's so close, just 0.4 to pole at the moment.
And it's into the
he
pit
bails
lane.
for the pit.
Yeah, not enough time gained there, unfortunately, for him. And I think possibly was that, again, a track limits issue, because it looked like he was right on the line coming out the final corner. As we pan now to one of our Corvettes, sorry, I'm not sure who it is. Whoever it was, it's not been an improvement, unfortunately, from Robin Duparon. And he needs to get back into the pit lane sometime sooner rather than later. This cannot be a valid lap that he's completing here. He's not allowed to start a new qualifying lap after 15 minutes left on the clock, but it looks like he's pushing on. Thibaut Texera looks to come around the final corner. Can it be an improvement from 8th for the Team WRT driver? 2 green sectors, so it might be an improvement. Across the line. Oh, I don't think it quite is it? It was close.
Is it?
No, he's moved up closer to the... No, he has improved by 1 position. He's up to 7th by the skin of his teeth. It's only 0.02 of a second. But he has managed to improve up past whoever that was in 8th. I can't remember. Robin Duparon, it must have been, because he was in 7th beforehand. So that brings to an end our LMGT3 qualifying. And now we've got about a minute and 50 seconds before the hypercars will come out into the pit lane. And we can get rolling here for the second qualifying session for the hypercars in the BPTuning Contender Series. BPtuning.net is one of the premier setup shops for LMU and for ACC. You can access setups for all levels of driver. There are, I mean, the bundles are incredible. You get like 8 or 10 setups in a bundle for all different paces, all different conditions, and you can even access one-to-one private coaching with Kieran Prendergast from the SimGrid Platinum split here at the Virtual Motorsport Series, an esports driver who's absolutely at the top of his game. He was the LMGT3 overall winner from last season in the Pro Series. He is absolutely brilliant. The setups are incredible. If you want to check out BP Tuning, check out the link in the description, at the bottom of the description. All of the information for bptuning.net is there, and we are very grateful to have them on board for the first ever season of the BP Tuning Contender Series.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting hypercar qualifying now. Ruppel takes pole position in the Ferrari 296 and then GT3 here at Portimao.
Yeah, the top three, Rappel, then Aiden Russell in that Ford, and Marco Galetti in the 777 D station Aston Martin, rounding out. I'm sure that those three guys would be very thankful if they managed to hold those positions out until the end of the 40-minute sprint race. But I'm sure there's going to be some thrills and spills along the way. As here we go, hypercar drivers peel straight out into the pit lane. Literally the second that 11 minutes clicked past on the clock, they were out there straight away. These guys desperate to get their qualifying laps in. They will have to wait at pit lane exit until there's 10 minutes left on the clock, at which point they will be allowed out onto track. If anyone goes out onto track before then, there will be a penalty assessed for them if they are reported for doing so. As they all queue up. Seconds until the hypercars are allowed out, and it's 4 Ferraris at the front of the queue.
And here we go for the hypercar qualifying. 5 Ferraris at the front there, not 4, followed by a Peugeot, a Toyota, another Toyota, it looks like, and a BMW in the background.
Indeed, yeah. It's just, again, the Ferraris, the hypercar of choice at the moment. They are just performing incredibly well, whether it's in real life or in Le Mans Ultimate. Yeah, 10 minutes of action-packed quali, and look at these guys. The weaving is absolutely ridiculous. Something I'm sure they've picked up from a certain Jerne Simoncic, who's been displaying his tyre warming strategies on his streams recently. The weaving that these guys are doing to get tyre temperature it looks ridiculous, but it is absolutely necessary for these hypercars. Getting these tyres in the performance window is just so crucial for setting a fast qualifying time, as I'm sure you can attest to.
Especially with no tyre warmers in WEC anymore, it's pretty difficult.
Indeed, it can be pretty difficult to get these tyres up to temperature without the tyre warmers, so we will see a lot of probably brake dragging, lots of, as we've already seen, weaving down anything that even vaguely resembles a straight. These cars will be weaving around, and I'm sure that won't stop. I expect the first couple of push laps that we see will be relatively slow and possibly weave filled, as well as being push laps. Here we go, first man across the line in one of the various number 51 Ferraris. I'm not going to take a stab at who it is because there's about 6 of them. Andrea Previato, there we go, into turn 1. Careful to keep it within the white lines. There's time on the table there. Look at how much room he had to the white line. Into turn 2, then up the hill. Turn 3, incredibly difficult for the hypercars up there. Even with all the downforce that these hypercars have got, they get very skittish over the top of that hill. Plunging down now into the hairpin, turn 4. Late apex, even harder in these hypercars with all the weight that they carry with them. They do not like turning in for those slower corners at all, where it relies on the tyre grip rather than any sort of aero. And Andrea Previato looking very, very nicely hooked up in that number 51 Ferrari AF Corsa 499P as things go. Over the top of the hill and then down through one of the many undulations in the track here at Portimao. Drivers regularly describe it as a roller coaster of a track to drive, and I would say that they're not far from. Yeah, I'd say they're not far from wrong, are they? It is absolutely a ridiculous track to drive in terms of the undulation and everything that we see. as Matteo Bassan was the fastest man in practice, and he's proving it again. 3 tenths up in the first sector, 5 tenths up now in the first sector, 2 tenths up again. It all depends on who's setting the fastest lap time as he keeps on driving past. But it's P1 for Matteo Bassan at the moment. That's going to be just about 7 tenths up, just about 6 tenths up, sorry, on the next fastest driver as things stand. We'll wait and see when we get the full qualifying timetable up and we can see all the gaps. But as of right now, it's Aurelian Pellicore goes round. Where's that? Is that on the exit of turn 1? Yes, it must be, because there's a exit line there, isn't there? Yes, indeed it was. Exit of turn 1 for Aurelian Pellicore going around in that BMW M Team WRT number 20 art livery. I do like that that people aren't just using the standard WEC liveries. The art car was certainly striking, not to everyone's taste, but certainly striking.
It's not the best, but it's definitely interesting to see something other than, you know, your usual AF course of red Ferraris or yeah, just Ferraris, really.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's the 6 tenths is the advantage for Matteo Bassan, and then 5 tenths is the advantage for Previato back to Barberi, and then there's 7 cars within 7 tenths. From although, as I say that, Barberi goes ahead of Previato now, just 2.5 tenths behind Matteo Bassan. And Carlo Barberi going to be very happy with that one. Fastest in the middle sector. All the time lost there in the final sector. That's interesting. The final sector obviously only being comprised of 3 corners, really. One is that hairpin. The next is this weird kind of downhill off-camber right-hander that's just essentially a long wait for an acceleration zone. And then the final corner, which is pretty much flat out in these cars, as Stoltz manages to break up the Ferrari train at the top of the times, goes 4th fastest out of Rasmus Andreasen
as well.
Yeah.
Sarah in 7th as well in that Peugeot, that Alpine off Bouquet in 6th at the moment, so it's getting tight.
Yeah, things definitely closing up on the grid at the moment. Just 4 tenths covering from 5th to 10th at the moment, which is absolutely wonderful. As we are watching off board for Nico Lauch, although we're switching back to Andrea Previato, who's well down on his lap time this time out. Possibly just a cool down lap for Andrea Previato, but he's about a second off of his best pace, or a second off of the best pace, sorry, in the session, as Matteo Bassan has found 2 tenths on the fastest sector time. It's coming through up towards the final corner, over the crest of the hill, down through the compression, and then back up the hill again. Across the line, it's going to be fast. How fast is it going to be? Is it going to be in the 29s? Not quite. It is in the 30s, though. It's a 30.936. He doesn't quite improve the final sector. He lost all of that time that he had gained through the middle.
Incredibly close, though. Just little gains that all of these guys need to get,
and it is ridiculous to see. It is ridiculous to see the pace in this silver split. Obviously, we haven't had a chance to see the Pro Series guys take to the track at Portimao, but we would expect probably low 30s, high 29s. So these drivers are only about 8 tenths a second off of the kind of pace we'd be expecting from some of the most professional esports racers in the world. Which shows just how incredible the overall quality of driver here at the Virtual Motorsport Series is. Carlo Barberi has improved in the middle sector. He's gone fastest. If he manages to improve in his final sector as well, because that, if memory serves, is where he lost all the time compared to Matteo Bassan on his last run, this could turn into a pole position time. Is it going to be enough for Carlo Barberi through the final corner? He needs to find time here. It's going to be close. I don't think he's quite going to get there.
He goes up to second, but really, really tight there. 2:10.
I don't think he improved that time. I think it was 0.24 beforehand. So it's not quite a gain for Carlo Barberi. fact, I think the lap time might have been invalid because it didn't even stay up. It flashed away immediately, so I think it might have been invalidated through the final sector.
Interestingly, Colombo in 16th place at the moment. The Toyota number 7 not set a lap yet, so it'll be interesting to see where he comes out in this running. Maybe he's got enough time to set a lap in this final few minutes, and he does.
Yeah, Colombo setting a lap that takes him to 13th, only 1.4 seconds off the pace. So he's yeah, things very close here. On average, about a tenth in between each driver. Although obviously that is manifesting in lots of different ways, as the battle for 9th is incredibly close, just 1,000 between Teixeira and Paolo Ortu in the number 93 Peugeot and the number 83 Ferrari, respectively. As who's that looping it round in the background of Giacomo Teixeira's shot there? He's going to be looking to improve. I'm not quite sure who that was. It was one of the Toyotas. It might have been the dreaded Mohamed Colombo turn 4 spin that he was talking about in the silver chat earlier. I will lose my mind laughing if it is that, just to let you all know, because it'll be hilarious. Giacomo Teixeira really improving here. He's only 700ths off in the middle sector in that 9x8 Evo. Obviously, the most noticeable difference being that rear wing, which they'd avoided putting on the Peugeot for, what, 2 years?
Yeah, nearly 3.
And then realised that the car was rubbish and put a rear wing on it. and now it's continued to be pretty much equally as rubbish as it was before they put a rear wing on it. Yeah. So not necessarily the best upgrade that Peugeot have ever made to a car. But here we go, Giacomo Teixeira across the line, and it is an improvement on his time. He moves to just over a second away from the overall pole position time, but no improvement in terms of his grid position, although he does move closer to the back of Matthew Bouquet in that Alpine number 35. And these are now the final...
I've also just been informed that Teixeira will be receiving a drive-through for leaving the pit lane before the allotted time.
Leaving the pit lane before the allotted time? Oh no. Is that for Giacomo Teixeira, is it?
Yeah, for Teixeira. He was out the pits too early. As per our regulations, it's a drive-through. So.
Oh, that's going to be so disappointing for him. Finally managed to get into the top 10. Has pretty much secured his position there as Mattia Previato, we've just seen pulling over out of the way. Sorry, I've got multiple screens open here. We're on board with Rasmus Andreasen at the moment.
Barberi has improved though. Look at that time. It was a 240 before, it's a 220 now. So he's improved by 200s there.
Yeah, and it's still just not quite enough, is it? Matteo Bassan with absolutely blistering pace at the moment. And Philip Schlichting has sneaked his way into the top 3 as well. Quite satisfyingly. Satisfyingly? Yes, that is a word. Yes, 0.555 of a second off of the pole position time. I quite like that. Rasmus Andreasen bails on his lap into the pit lane. Mattia Previato has done the same. And I'm not sure if there is anyone left on track on a valid lap at the moment. So that is going to be it. It will be Matteo Bassan, then Carlo Barberi, then Philip Schlichting. We will just wait for everyone to return to their garages, and then we will get the official, the grid run-through graphic, and we will have a little chat about everything that's going on, and then move forward into the race. Let's see what's going on. We'll do, if you set the grid and then do the grid graphic. No, it's all good. There we go. It's Matteo Bassan on pole, lining up next to Carlo Barberi, and what is a top 4 dominated by Ferraris. Then it's Philip Schlichting and Andrea Previato lining up next to him. The first non-Ferrari is going to be Chris Stoltz in the number 93 Peugeot. Next to him, Rasmus Andreasen in the number 50 Ferrari yet again. Robin Deschamps in the 50 Ferrari lines up 7th, with Matthew Bouquet and the only Alpine on the grid starting in 8th. Giacomo Tessera. Wow, yeah, I lost the ability to speak there. And the number 93 Peugeot, he's also got a stop go penalty. Then I missed who was next to him. I'm so sorry. Nico Lauch in 11th. I'm really making a mess of this. Mohamed Colombo in 13th. Filippo Cogole starting in 14th. And I believe that Stanislas Pajot in 15th. I forgot. And Aurelien Pellicori in 16th. Then we've got the top of the LMGT3 field, Christoph Rappel and Aidan Russell. The 1-2 from the last race, starting 1-2 yet again. Marco Galetti lines up next to Jean-Baptiste Thomas in one of the 2 Corvettes on the grid. Then it's Juan Viviers who'll be looking to finish the race this time out next to Thibaut Texera in the number 46 Team WRT BMW. Davide Canton lines up next to the other Corvette of Robin Dupoiron, and that rounds out our grid. We are getting ready to go. We're in the countdown towards the start of the race here, and we are going to be rolling any minute now. Just a short formation lap. And things will be getting going straight away.
Yeah, this is going to be a pretty interesting race, I think, heading into this second round of the championship. So lots to play for all of the guys in both Hypercar and LMGT3.
Less than 30 seconds now. We are missing a car or 2 on the grid. Philip Schlichting yet to come to the grid. So's Giacomo Tessera yet to come to the grid. They need to do it soon, otherwise they're going to miss the start, and they're going to have to start from the pit lane. There's Philip Schlichting, but Giacomo Tessera still sat in the pit lane. No, he has managed to make his way to the grid, so it should be a full starting lineup as we're going to get moving away from the grid any second now. There it is. Matteo Bassan leads the grid away. Carlo Barberi with a little bit of a delayed start. Only a short run to the green flag here, so the tyres are going to be cold for the first lap or 2. Obviously no opportunities for weaving when you're racing alongside other cars, unless you're willing to cause a crash.
Lots of hard at the front for these guys and lots of mediums on the rears. So split strategy for tyres. That'll be pretty interesting.
Yeah, split tyre strategies are always interesting. Here we go. The lights are going to go green as they roll under this next bridge. It's Matteo Bassan to lead the field away, and we are green here in Portimao. The field roars away from the line, and Matteo Bassan looks like he's managed to hold that position. Philip Schlichting slotting in ahead of Andrea Previato, and there is side-by-side action further around the back, as that was one of the Ferraris, I believe, of Rasmus Andreasen getting ahead of Chris Stoltz for 5th position. Indeed it was. Matthew Bouquet still kind of harassing both of those guys, trying to move his way up the order as well. There's chaos in the LMGT3 field. That's Marco Galetti getting ahead of Aidan Russell in the very background of the shot there, as the hypercars spread out all over the track. Coming out of turn 3, we see Marco Galetti there behind Christoph Rappel, and that's also going to be Jean-Baptiste Thomas ahead of Aidan Russell. As who's that coming through the middle? Oh my days, what a move. Robin Dupoiron down the middle of Juan Viviers, I believe that was, and Thibaut Texera manages to somewhat half make the move stick. I think it was an accidental late braking maneuver rather than a purposeful overtaking idea. Wow, action-packed on lap 1 here. And it's action-packed to the front as well. Andrea Previato getting past Philip Schlichting up into 3rd position in Hypercar, as Carlo Barberi continues to hunt down Matteo Bassan. Only about 0.4 of a second behind at the moment, although that gap is it's actually relatively stable. Carlo Barberi here might be able to stick with Matteo Bassan.
I think that'll be his best bet for the race, is sort of keep in the tow, keep up with him, sort of build a gap with from the cars behind, and just run away from it really, and keep out of the trouble. I think that's going to be their best bet for this race. And obviously a short one, no pit stops, so straight out to the flag.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. And that's Giacomo Tessera down to the back of the field. He's serving his drive-through penalty. That one was for leaving the garage too early, I believe, or leaving the pit lane too early for the start of the Hypercar qualifying session. So he'll find his way all the way down to the back of the LMGT3 field as well. So he's going to have a long way to work back through. Jean-Baptiste Thomas is down there as well. 2 drivers with drive-throughs in LMGT3. That's Jean-Baptiste Thomas, who was running in 3rd position ahead of Aidan Russell, has had to come down pit road as well. Possibly a drive-through penalty, possibly a pit stop to fix some damage. And it's Luciano Ichatso is the other driver down pit lane as well, currently running 29th and 30th overall, 13th and 14th in class. Carlo Barberi doing a really good job of sticking with Matteo Bassan at the moment. These guys have moved well over a second ahead of Andrea Previato, who I believe is still being hampered by a relative train behind him of kind of 3 or 4 cars. But Carlo Barberi just sticking with the back of Matteo Bassan. The gap's still less than half a second as things stand. And Chris Stoltz
getting an audience with him now, getting Stoltz behind him in the Peugeot. So Peugeot trying to get past the first of the non-Ferraris.
Yeah, it is indeed. Chris Stoltz just behind Philip Schlichting there. Chris Stoltz, I'm sure, will be happy to be back up into 5th place. That is obviously where he qualified in the Peugeot, the highest non-Ferrari qualifier here at the Algrave circuit, as he makes a lunge down the inside on Philip Schlichting, and he's made that move work. What a move from Chris Stoltz. That late braking was incredible. We've got a yellow flag out there somewhere. I'm not sure who that might have been. Let me try and have a look. Is there anyone that I can see that's noticeably dropping back? Not particularly. Oh, it'll be for Christoph Rappel. Christoph Rappel, who's no longer in the lead of the LMGT3 class. He's had a problem at turn 1 and has dropped back. So he's now behind Marco Galetti, Aidan Russell, Juan Viviers and Robin Dupoiron. What has happened there for Christoph Rappel? We're not going to be able to get a replay of that, unfortunately. We don't have a replay option to go back and have a look. But I don't know what's happened there. It's not come from Giacomo Tessera. He's still behind them. But an issue at turn 1, it must have been for Christoph Rappel. Possibly a half spin, but dropping it from the lead of the race, which promotes Marco Galetti in that number 777 Aston to P1 in the LMGT3 class, and he is going to be kicking himself.
Yeah, that's not good for Rappel, taking pole and then dropping down to 5th in the first opening few laps. That's really not good for his progress in the running and championship efforts.
Absolutely. Thankfully, it is only the 2nd round of the season, but these are the kind of mistakes you can't afford to make when the grid is as close as it is in these Virtual Motorsport Series splits. Because just one wrong foot, one mistake in one race could be the difference between a promotion or not. A very good point from Davide Pagani in the YouTube chat is that obviously Carlo Barberi and Matteo Bassan both drive for the same team. They are both, I believe, Tafton Restec drivers. So these guys are unlikely, let's say, to kind of have a collision with each other. Although then again, I guess you could say that Timotei Andonovski and Luke Whitehead were Ferrari esports teammates for a long time, and look how that unfolded at Imola last Sunday. So possibly not, but you would expect that it would be sensible. Aidan Russell, very late on the brakes there. That looks like a mistake from him, not an attempted move for the lead at all, and he is going to have to watch out because Juan Viviers and I believe it is then Robin Dupoiron are right there waiting to pounce on any opportunity to move themselves up the order. But Christoph Rappel has closed up ridiculously quickly. He is now a man on a mission to get back to P1.
have the timings.
Yeah, so do I. Yeah, just looking through to see where we've got any particularly close battles. Giacomo Tessera, unfortunately, after that top 10 qualifying that he would have been really happy with, is down in 16th in class and overall in Hypercar. 28 seconds off the back of anyone else. And Christoph Rappel really getting the elbows out for the move on Robin de Poiron there. Up to 4th place for the 66 JMW Motorsport liveried Ferrari 296 as he continues to fix his eyes on getting back to the front of the field. But I expect there's going to be some slightly more staunch competition in terms of overtaking by the time that he's moved his way ahead of Juan Viviers. As it looks like now, Galetti and Russell are focusing on working together to move away from Christoph Rappel rather than fighting each other for the win.
Thibault Texiera closing in on Eric Nonamaker in the Optimum Motorsport McLaren there in front. Currently for P9 and P8 at the moment, but they've got a big train of cars behind them of Ivora, Van Ginken and Foreman there. So lots of cars looking to pounce, and it's aboard the Nonamaker train.
Yeah,
Sorry, the Warmington train. My apologies.
And these positions are really important. Mark Warmington at the lead of this train is in P8, so there are 3 point scoring positions at the front of this train of 5 cars. So I'm sure Frank Van Ginniken and Craig Foreman will be looking to continue to move up the order in that little pack. So it looks like Christoph Rappel might not be a million miles away from making a move on Juan Viviers for P3 here, as he tries to move his way back up the order. He is all over the back of that number 77 Mustang. Oh, almost got an incredible overspeed on the exit of the penultimate corner, but found himself on a line that would have caused collision with the Mustang. But here we go, the Ferrari top end on the brakes into turn 1 would be brave from Christoph Rappel. But he also made a move in the penultimate corner, so what am I talking about? He's done brave. Not this time for Christoph.
Keep it safe this time and just stick behind the Mustang of Viviers here, Juan Viviers. So yeah, really, oh, that nearly looked like a little bit of contact there as well, but I think
just helping the Mustang get around the corner, just helping with the turning. You know how those front engine cars can be.
Yeah,
they can be a little bit understeery. Christoph just helping out. Nothing untoward about that at all. As Aiden Russell runs very deep through the hairpin there, he's got to watch out with that. Any of these small mistakes are just windows of opportunity for the cars behind to pounce and move their way further up the order. And Aiden Russell, he knows that he's now got Christoph Rappel behind him, the man who won in the first round. All he needs to do is finish ahead of Christoph, and he will retain the upper hand in this championship. 10 minutes past already, only half an hour remaining, and the fights are as close as ever. Carlo Barberi almost pushing Matteo Bassan at the moment, that gap less than 0.2 of a second.
Sarah still at the back of the Hypercar field. Looks like he's made his way through the GT traffic, but it's a big task ahead of him if he wants to get anywhere near the point.
Yeah, as here comes the lapping process. So I believe this is Andrea Previato with Chris Stoltz behind him that we're looking at the moment. And this unlapping process, this lapping process can be relatively scary, especially through fast, flat-out corners like that, as there's almost contact. That would have been between Mark Warmington and Andrea Previato, currently in 3rd in the Hypercar class. Almost had contact with that number 70, I believe it is, McLaren. But they make it safely through that batch. The next lot of...
So important thing about whole Hypercar and GT3 multiclass racing is the speed difference is insane. The GTs just want to stick on their line, be as safe as possible, and the Hypercars get around them as quickly as possible. But sometimes, you know, especially into final corners like that, it's not easiest. As we
That's
saw
Chris
nearly,
Stoltz. I was about to say, Chris Stoltz trying the lunge he did on Philip Schlichting, almost made it work, and then Andrea Previato somehow, with the largest snap of oversteer I've ever seen on the exit of a corner, manages to stay ahead of the number 93 Peugeot. I'm not quite sure how the Ferrari man managed to recover from that one. He had some proper slide angle going there.
He did, yeah. Still making their way through the rest of the GT3 field. Got a couple more cars. Quite a few more cars.
Oh, hello. And that is going to be a move. I think that is Chris Stoltz. Yeah. Andrea Previato went the wrong side. Went the wrong side of the BMW. I'm not sure which BMW that was. I think it might have been, it must have been Davide Canton.
Canton, yeah.
Yeah, he went the wrong side of Davide Canton. Ended up off the track on the outside. I'm sure we'll see a ticket raised about that post-race. But these guys now coming past the leaders. And actually, whilst they come past the leaders, there's a brilliant chance to point out that Christoph Rappel has moved his Ferrari ahead of that sky blue Mustang driven by Juan Viviers. So that is Christoph Rappel back up into third position as he now continues the hunt. And that is Aiden Russell with some front end damage. I'm not sure what's happened there, but the front end of that Mustang looking slightly crumpled. Well, that's not going to be helping his case to lead at all.
No, especially not. And Galetti just so close behind, in front of him as well. So this is going to become a three-way battle for the lead. Ooh, big send there from, who is that? That's probably Schlichting.
I think it might be Rasmus Andreasen and Robin Deschamps, actually, because it's 250s back-to-back, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah, it's definitely tight in both categories. The hypercars are battling it out for their positions while they're battling through the battles of LMGT3. This is really interesting stuff, and yeah, it's a roller coaster. This track is a roller coaster. It just keeps on giving and causing chaos.
Yeah, it really doesn't ever stop around here at Portimao. Just looking and seeing where we might have some close battles. Christoph Rappel is looking to get ahead of Aiden Russell. I think he might have got that move done. Oh, he's forced to the outside. Aiden Russell keeps the position. He's now got to look out for Juan Viviers. I'm sure that Mustang will have a sneak up the inside if he can. He can't quite this time. But Aiden Russell getting the elbows out a little bit, as Christoph Rappel was with him, and stays ahead, as that is Stanislas Pajot defending from Matthew Bouquet as well. In fact, I think that might have been a move for Stanislas Pajot to get ahead of Matthew Bouquet and into the top 10. Points on the cards now for Stanislas Pajot. And this little train is, whoa, Matthew Bouquet, massive lockup at the inside of Stanislas Pajot, and he's going to possibly lose a position. I believe that's Paolo Ortu on his outside. Indeed it is, and he does lose that position in the end, coming through turn 3. A huge lockup for the Alpine man. Manages not to hit anyone else, which is always the favourable outcome. But that was incredibly close.
And it looks like Ortu nearly had a little go at him as well there, but thankfully got through fine. And battles with Peugeot. That gap though from Bassan and Barberi to Stoltz, over 5 seconds now, with nearly half of the race completed. As I said earlier at the start of the race, Bassan and Barberi using each other to pull each other along, get ahead of the crowd and find a gap and just pull away. And that's what they are doing at this point, and Stoltz still has that Previato and Schlichting battle behind him. So
and Mohamed Colombo has had an issue. Sorry to step on your toes there. Mohamed Colombo in 15th position at the moment has dropped back 10 seconds from the car in front of him. Means that Giacomo Tessera is now only 5 seconds behind Mohamed Colombo there in the number 7 Toyota, the black liveried version of that car that they
looking
introduced.
At his sector 2 time, 53 seconds compared to a 33 or 34 second for the guys in front of him, so 20 seconds difference there between his sector 2 time.
Yeah, he's dropped a long way. He was the car behind Matthew Bouquet, so he's dropped behind Filippo Cogolo and Aurelian Pellicore. in that middle sector. So it's been a big loss for Mohamed Colombo. Not sure, possibly there could have been contact with Filippo Cogolo, who I believe is driving the sole BMW in this silver split. And Aiden Russell, possibly crucially, is now over a second behind Marco Galetti, and has, as we see, Christoph Rappel all over the rear bumper of that Mustang. The important thing about being over kind of a second, 1.2 seconds behind, is that the effect of the slipstream that these LMGT3 cars give is significantly reduced once you're outside that kind of window. So Aiden Russell is not going to be feeling the effects of the slipstream from that leading Aston Martin, but Christoph Rappel, being only about 0.2 of a second behind Aiden Russell, is going to be getting a whole load of slipstream, especially from that, let's face it, relatively brick-shaped Ford Mustang. Rather pretty one, I'll admit, in that gold and black livery in the hands of Aiden Russell, but brick-shaped nonetheless.
And it looks like Aiden Russell is just a little bit twitchy as well in these corners in the final sector. Looked like Rappel sort of caught up a little bit here, and this could be his chance to pounce on second position. Coming across the line once again. We are.
I don't think it'll happen this time for Christoph Rappel. The other thing that people call slipstream is dirty air, as Christoph Rappel goes way off track in turn 1. And I expect will have picked up some track limits points for his troubles, unless he managed to lose enough time to kind of game the system a little bit. But yeah, the other thing that slipstream is called is dirty air, as Christoph Rappel proved both in turn 1 and in the final corner. In these LMGT3 cars, having clean air to go on to those fancy dive planes and through the floor and on the rear wing and all the other fancy little aero bits that they say aren't aero bits but really are, because the whole car is essentially one moving aero bit. Oh, contact! That's Mark Warmington.
Yeah, that's Warmington and Frank Ginnigan.
Yeah, Frank Van Ginnigan.
Craig Foreman there looking to pounce as well on Mark Warmington. He's right there and probably taking... Oh, it's contact as well? Yes,
yeah, he spins Mark Warmington out. Craig Foreman, I think, is he trying to wait to give the position back? No, I think he's got going again, has he? No, he is. Waiting. Oh, I can't really tell. Kind of half waiting and half not. No, he has given that position back to Mark Warmington. But they both lost multiple places there. Mark Warmington losing 2 positions in as many corners and a whole bundle of time as well. Really unfortunate for him.
Getting quite a bit of damage as well, which would hamper his progress any further. Not enough time, I don't think, to gain that time back. It's what's the gap now? 6 seconds and increasing. So, yeah, some terminal damage there for Mark Warmington, which will not help him at all in the slightest.
Not quite sure what's happened here in the final sector for Marco Galetti, but Aiden Russell is right back in that slipstream again, which is going to be vital for him in holding off that Ferrari of Christoph Rappel. That Mustang still with a little bit of front-end damage, but it'll be the effects of that will be lessened by being in the slipstream. And I'm sure Aiden Russell will be very thankful to be back in that slipstream. In fact, he might even look for a move on Luciano Chiazzo here. Oh, that looked on the borderline of being reactionary. Yeah. From Marco Galetti there.
They are side by side though. No.
I know I'm only a commentator, but that did look a little bit like a reactionary move to the Mustang going to the inside there. We will wait and see if there's anything further on that from Aiden Russell when the reporting window kind of unofficially begins after the race. You can report an incident from the very beginning of the race, from lap 1, for anyone who DNFs. But obviously the drivers who are on track aren't able to do that until they have stopped being on track.
Mattia Previato looking on the back of Nico Lodge here for P8 in the Hypercar class. If he can get past Nico Lodge, it's then a 4-second gap to Robin Deschamps in front in the Ferrari. So Mattia Previato trying to do... They are brothers, right?
Yes, yeah, the Previatos are brothers.
Yeah. Brothers doing, yeah. So one Previato P4, the other one P9.
obviously harder to gain time generally on someone that's driving the same car as you. So if Mattia Previato does manage to get past Nico Lauch, I'm not sure if there will be the time left in the race to get up to Robin Deschamps, who has been running very good lap times whilst he chases down Rasmus Andreasen. But we're cutting back now to this top 3 battle in the LMGT3 class. In fact, I think it might be on the verge of being a top 4 battle. Juan Viviers is still kind of chilling out in the background there, as yellow flags are out again, and this time it's Mohamed Colombo again, I believe, now down in 16th, and dropping time to Giacomo Teixeira. Mohamed Colombo has gone round somewhere, I'm not sure where, but he's gone from being about 6 seconds in front of Giacomo Teixeira to now being about 9 seconds behind. So yeah, unsure of what happened there. Possibly just a solo issue, unfortunately, for Mohamed Colombo, as Christoph Rappel is taking a very unique... Hello, Aiden Russell up the inside. That's a brave move to make. Possibly...
Marco Galetti was wide into that corner, but he keeps the corner.
Oh, they're getting the elbows out.
Rappel's going past as well.
Round the outside, Aiden Russell at the hairpin. What a move, and Christoph Rappel's going to follow him, and then I'm sure go for the move up the inside in the penultimate corner. Not quite. It doesn't unfold for Christoph Rappel the way he would have wanted, but Marco Galetti 2 positions down. Both cars going round the outside of him in the hairpin. That's incredible. And Filippo Cogolo now with an issue. I'm not sure what's happened there, but he's now tumbling down the order. He's behind Giacomo Teixeira as well. But Aiden Russell is now the leader of this race.
Yeah, what an incredible move from both Russell and Rappel in that corner around the outside of Galetti. Galetti losing 2 places in 1 corner pretty much. It does look like Colombo has retired from the race. He's got a DNF on him. So unfortunately a retirement for him.
Yeah, unfortunate, that issue. I think he drove into the pit lane and chose to retire rather than it being a crash, because he's got a completed lap on his timing screen. So I think that last issue that we saw was for... No, I think maybe that yellow flag was for him, I'm not sure. As we've got another yellow flag out on track. These yellow flags kind of just keep on coming, and you've got to just try and spot who's dropping time. I think this time it might be Robin De Puero, I believe, is the issue car for that most recent yellow flag. He's dropped out of the top 10. He's now 11th, is Robin De Puero. He's 3 seconds behind Jean-Baptiste Thomas. Has lost a bundle of time. I can't remember who he was in and fighting with, Robin De Puero.
He was battling up in P6, I believe.
He was up there, wasn't he? He was up with Eric Nonemaker and Thibaut Texera, so I'm not sure if there's possibly been contact. Whoa, crazy.
Splitting the traffic.
Ridiculous. How many times do you want to split the traffic? Little figure of 8 between Stanislas Pajot and Mathieu Bouquet. Unfortunately, Stanislas Pajot there coming off the worst of the 2. Again, getting stuck the wrong side of an LMGT3 over the top of a hill and going deep and getting undercut by Mathieu Bouquet. And Paolo Orto is now ahead of both of those guys. We've missed that. Paolo Orto in that number 83 yellow submarine Ferrari, ahead of both Mathieu Bouquet and Stanislas Pajot. I'm sure he'll be very, very happy that he's managed to get ahead of both of those guys. As Rasmus Andreasen is starting to challenge on the back of Robin Deschamps, although actually Robin Deschamps was behind Rasmus Andreasen, so that's been an overtake.
And hold on, Aiden Russell's dropped to P4 here. He looks like he got a bit of damage on him, and Rappel had damage on his front as well. So maybe contact between Rappel and Russell. Marco Galetti now P2, Juan Viviers in P3. So yeah, Rappel with a little bit of front damage there. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Perhaps a post-race report will come through from that.
Yeah, that could absolutely be a sign, couldn't it? We do tend to see if, you know, if one car's running behind another, and then the next time you look at those cars, one of them's got front damage and the other one's got rear damage. You know, 2 + 2 = 4.
Pretty obvious.
A lot of the time.
It's pretty obvious, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm sure if there has been contact there, we'll see something about it. But Christoph Rappel back to the lead of the race, where he began the race before what we believe was possibly a solo issue at turn 1, possibly contact. We're not entirely sure. That was with about 5 minutes of the race run. He had that issue at turn 1, and back to the lead with now less than 15 minutes left to go. And this race is rapidly disappearing from underneath us. It is. We're really getting through it.
Some great battles here. Obviously, a sprint race means, you know, less time for these guys to get those positions, so they're a little bit eager, a little bit desperate, but definitely looking to pounce at any point they can. And look at this. Is that Aiden Russell being caught by Davide Canton? No, Davide's in a BMW, isn't he? So that is
Davide Canton is
Thomas on Johan Yavora? No. I don't know.
It was possibly.
Maybe
Where
it's
were
lap.
we looking? It could be lap traffic. There is a chance. I don't
It was
think
Corvette
anyone
on a Mustang. So
Corvette on a Mustang.
oh, Dupois on
would have been yeah, Dupois and Mark Warmington or Frank Van Ginneken, one of the two.
Warmington's
it wouldn't have been Warmington because he was in a McLaren, so it would have been Frank Van Ginneken. Yeah, absolutely. As actually, you were just saying, Davide Canton is actually gaining time on Aiden Russell.
He is,
only a couple of tenths in the last sector or so, and that gap does then automatically extend back out to what it was originally, because I'm never allowed to be right about anything.
Commentated curse as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But Davide Canton does appear to be catching Aiden Russell, who is in turn catching Juan Viviers to try and get back on the podium and limit the damage that this race has caused his championship standings at the moment. We will have, at the end of this race, we'll have a quick whip through what the championship standings were coming into this round. And then we will do any post-race interviews. Unfortunately, with these sprint style races, there's not really enough time to sit down and talk through the current championship standings, because there's never really a moment where there's not action. Yeah, absolutely. It's the same in the rest of the splits as well, as we see again just a humongous LMGT3 train coming through shot. This
and
is
unsurprisingly being led by Yavora in the Porsche. I think the Porsche has been highly bopped in this game, so I think anyone driving the Porsche is very, very brave.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's Thomas getting past Yavora there for P8, sorry. And Frank Ginnigan right there as well, but it's like there's a little bit of damage on the front of that Porsche as well.
Whoa, lock up there for
a big lock up.
I don't know if it was him or if it was the Ferrari in front of him of Rasmus Andreas, and actually he's really caught. Nico Loch has really caught Rasmus Andreasen and Robin Deschamps here, and this could be a four-way fight for P6 in the last 10 minutes of this race. The Toyota driver really catching up here as Carlo Barberi has moved to the lead. And Matteo Bassan is dropping back. I'm not sure what's happened there. Possibly an off-track moment for Matteo Bassan, but that gap suddenly dropped back to about 7/10 he fallen behind him. And I think that move has only just happened.
It has, because the sector 1 times were pretty even. We'll just wait for their sector 2 times, and then we can give you probably the best bet of that's where he lost it.
And there's another yellow flag out there. Not sure who that one was for. We try to keep up with them as much as possible, but it's a bit of a game of spotting who's falling back down the order whenever a yellow flag comes out, so it can be difficult.
Yep, it was sector 2 there for Bassan and Barberi, but Bassan's sector 2 time was quicker than Carlo Barberi, so that's really interesting.
Yeah, I'm really not sure where that move came from. It looked like they were relatively even. Possibly just a decision to swap. Obviously, those guys I expect will be hidden away in a team Discord voice chat somewhere, talking to each other about the race. And obviously, they've got plenty of time in hand, 6.5 seconds back to Chris Stoltz in P3, so they can kind of just do whatever they like in this race, to be honest. They still have to keep a decent pace, but outside of that, they can kind of just do what they want, which is always nice as a team to be able to work with each other like that. As Robin de Poiron looks like he might be looking for a move on Frank van Ginneken.
What's also interesting is Marco Galetti in that D-Station Aston Martin, currently in P2. His gap now to Rappel in first is 5 seconds, so that gap has really, really built over the past few minutes. Literally, just in the space of a couple of laps, it's gone to 5 seconds nearly. So really, really strange stuff, but Aiden Russell right on the back of Galetti, and then Viviers just behind as well. So it's going to be a three-way battle for P2 and P3. The final podium spots in GT3, LMGT3. Baptiste Thomas looking for a move on Evora in that Porsche. Nearly had his nose ahead there in the penultimate corner, but coming through to the final corner here. Can Evora get away, or can Baptiste Thomas get ahead? Hypercar traffic going off track to pass them as well.
Yeah, it's been pretty ridiculous this race. The hypercar traffic has been fanning out across pretty much the entire track to try and find their way around. As Aiden Russell gets ahead of Juan Viviers there for his space back on the podium. I'm sure he'll be very happy about that after possible contact between him and current race leader Christoph Rappel when they were fighting for the lead after they both made that incredible move around the outside of the hairpin in sector 3. I don't know if you remember that one.
I do. That was really incredible. Yeah, we just saw as well there John Baptiste Thomas getting past Johan Evora for PA in the race. So good going for the Corvette. So much for the Porsche. Here we go. Aiden Russell right on the back of Marco Galetti. And we've got Matthew Bouquet right on the back of Stanislav Pajot with just 6 minutes left of this race. So an exciting sprint race.
And Aiden Russell already on the back of Marco Galetti, very close to the back of Marco Galetti. If we could maybe jump and have a look at that, that would be brilliant. He's right on the tail of the Aston Martin, the rear end of an Aston Martin that he already spent. They already spent the first. They already spent the first about 20 minutes of this race looking at. I'm sure he's rather had enough as we tick towards the final 5 minutes. He'll be looking to get back in front of that 777D station Aston Martin again, and you can really see from that angle just how crumpled the front end of that Ford Mustang is. It is not happy at all. I'm sure Aiden Russell will be counting his lucky stars that body parts haven't started flying off of it, because they're not able to do that in game, unlike the Ford Mustang likes to do in real life.
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely. It has been known to depart itself of various body elements before, hasn't it? Yes. It's quite entertaining to watch happen, but I imagine it's quite frustrating for the mechanics to be sat in their pit garage watching parts fly off the car.
To be fair though, in real life now, it's not really the issues with the body parts, it's the issues with the engines blowing up and setting on fire and combusting. Yes. Which is definitely a new issue. Contact there between Russell and Galetti. Just a little bump from on the rear of the Aston Martin there, but position still there. Juan Viviers is right there as well. He's closed in massively during this. But yeah, 6.5 seconds from Galetti to Rappel in the lead of LMGT3. We could see a move here from Aiden Russell into the first corner on Galetti on the inside. He's going to go for it nearly 3 wide with the hypercar traffic. Galetti keeps strong and tries to keep his nose ahead. He's not going to have the inside line for the next corner though, so will Russell be able to pull ahead enough? And he does so. Russell back up into second position. Galetti still on the back of him. Big slide there, big moment for him. And Viviers is going to go for a shot off it into turn 4, down into the hairpin. Maybe contact, no contact there, but still side by side. Galetti holding on to dear life at this point with 3.5 minutes left of this race to go. This could really shape things up in the final few laps of the race, but gap between Barberi and Bassan now only 8/10, so they've stuck close together that entire race, and yeah, I think they're the closest battle in the hypercar class. No, actually, Tessera is going to make a way past Aurelian Pillicori for P14 overall.
And what happened to Mattia Previato? Was running P9, now down in P12. I think that must have been what the most recent yellow flag was for.
Flag, yeah.
But down into 12th for Mattia Previato, out of the point. That does promote Matthew Bouquet into P10. He's behind Stanislas Pajot, who was, before that issue for Mattia Previato, the last car scoring points in the hypercar class. And there is Matthew Bouquet. He's not far behind. Only Paolo Ortu in between him and getting back into the points for Mattia Previato. But with only 2 minutes and 20 seconds left on the clock, I'm not sure how likely that is to come to fruition, unfortunately.
Absolutely. Final 2 minutes of this race is going to be interesting. Definitely a dominated race by Ferraris in the hypercar category. Galetti still got the pressure from Juan Viviers behind him, but falling back from Aidan Russell, who's 7.5, 8 seconds now behind Rappel for the lead of LMGT3. Robin de Poiron has retired as well, it looks like. And that might have been also one of our most recent yellow flags, perhaps.
Yes, quite possibly. Disappointing to see Robin de Poiron DNF, but only the 2 DNFs in this round so far compared to the multiple that we had at Sebring is quite nice to see. Obviously, yep. Portimao, a slightly more forgiving track than the old World War II airbase with grass for runoffs that is the Sebring International Speedway.
Didn't realise there was another Aston Martin in this race. Thought it was just a one-off Marco Galetti, but Luciano Charso looking like he's got Mark Wilmington coming up on him as well for 12th position in LMGT3. Less than a minute left of this race to go. I think there might be another lap for these LMGT3 guys, depending on where the hypercar traffic is. We'll see.
You're definitely right about that damage on the front end of Christoph Rappel's Ferrari. It is noticeably crumpled and dirtied, which is the #1 telltale sign of having had damage and contact in Le Mans Ultimate, as that is Christoph Rappel. The clock is going to tick to 0, and I think he's possibly got the leading hypercars only just behind him. In fact, the leading hypercars are going to finish, so this is going to be the last lap for everyone, because that's the leader in LMGT3 is behind these two hypercars, and it's going to be Carlo Barberi round the final corner, ahead of his teammate Matteo Bassan, who qualified on pole. It's going to be a 1-2 in their team for Carlo Barberi and Matteo Bassan. What a brilliant race for those two here in the south of Portugal. It's going to be Chris Stoltz on the podium in the end. What a brilliant race for Chris Stoltz, qualified in P5. The only car in the top 5 that's not a Ferrari. In fact, the only car in the top 7 that's not a Ferrari, as he's followed across the line by Andrea Previato and Philip Schlichting. Then it's going to be Robin Deschamps in P6 with Rasmus Andreasen in P7, very much on his tail, only 4/10 separating those drivers at the end. And then obviously Nico Lauch as well behind Stanislas Pajot, and that's Christoph Rappel in the background, taking the win in LMGT3 as well. Then it'll be Stanislas Pajot in P7, Aidan Russell taking home P2 in LMGT3 with Marco Galetti rounding out the top 3 there. We will do a full run through of the finishing orders once everyone has crossed the line and returned to garage. This will be Johan Avora crossing the line, easier to identify as the only Porsche on the grid. A little bit of front end damage on that car as well. Clearly a lot of cars having a little bit of push and shove, a little bit of elbows out during the race here. As this will be Craig Foreman to be the last car across the line. I expect that's Luciano Acciazzo taking a creative line into turn 1, should we say. And that is everyone who has finished the race across the line. So in the end, it was Christoph Rappel, then Adrian Russell. No worries. We'll run the hypercars first. That's not a problem. So Carlo Barberi takes the overall win ahead of teammate Matteo Bassan. Then it's Chris Stoltz rounding out the top 3 in the Peugeot. He'll be very happy with that result. Andrea Prebiato and Philip Schlichting round out the top 5, with Robin Deschamps and Rasmus Andreasen continuing the Ferrari train in 6th and 7th respectively. Nico Lauch is the highest finisher out of our Toyotas in P8, with Stanislas Pajot in another Toyota behind in P9. Matthew Bouquet, the only Alpine on the grid, rounding out the top 10 and taking home the last points-paying position in the hypercar field, followed by Paolo Ortu, Mattia Previato, Filippo Cogolo, Aurelian Pellicore, Giacomo Tessera, and then not finishing the race was Mohamed Colombo down in 16th. In LMGT3, it was Christoph Rappel, the pole sitter, who won the race after drama at turn 1, a spin off camera that dropped him down the order, and then possibly contact with Aidan Russell later on in the race. Talking of Aidan Russell, the number 88 gold and black Ford Mustang came home in P2, with Marco Galetti in the Aston Martin rounding out the top 3. And it was Juan Viviers and Davide Canton taking home 4th and 5th respectively, with Eric Nonemacher in P6. Thibaut Texera took home 7th, finishing just ahead of Jean-Baptiste Thomas, who then had a little train behind him of Frank van Ginneken in the Mustang, Johan Avora in the Porsche to round out the top 10. Mark Warmington had a race of bumps and scrapes, I think, pretty much, finishing P11 in class in the end, with Craig Foreman and Luciano Acciazzo the last cars to finish in LMGT3, with Robin de Poiron in one of the 2 Corvettes, unfortunately DNFing at the very end of that race. Yeah. We will see if we have anyone for the interview channel. It doesn't look like we've got anyone at the moment, but they might just not be joining. Let's copy the channel link. There we go. Maybe should we have a quick tick through what the standings were at the end of the last round? Just a reminder of where things stood at the end of the last round. It was Nicholas Ulrich at the very top of the tables, then Rasmus Andreasen and Matteo Bassan, only one of those 3 finishing on the podium this time out. Paolo Ortu was in 4th, with Stanislas Pajot and Mathieu Bouquet behind him. Then it was Philip Schlichting in 7th, Giacomo Tessera in 8th, Filippo Cogolo in 9th, and Robin Deschamps in 10th. So our race winner not scoring points last time out. It was Steven Köhler, then Andrea Previato, Robin Deschamps, again. That shouldn't be possible. That's because that should be, I believe, Carlos Barberi. So he finished 13th last time out. Then it was Chris Stoltz, Mohamed Colombo, Aurelian Pellicore, and Michel Balayan, who unfortunately wasn't allowed to make it this week. Christoph Rappel takes home another win, followed yet again by Aidan Russell and Marco Galetti, the top three from the last round, the exact same this time out. Cole Bradbury, who finished fourth last time, not able to make it. Then it was Jean-Baptiste Thomas, Robin de Poiron, who unfortunately DNF this time out, Eric Nonamaka, Eduardo Dorito, Davide Canton and Sandis Vasislevski rounding out the top 10 in LMGT3 last time out. Thibaut Texera, Luciano Chatso, Craig Foreman, Frank Van Ginneken, Mark Warmington, Johan Evora, Juan Viviers and Lucas Lucht rounded out the rest of the order, as I believe we have got a couple of people waiting for an interview. Indeed we do. I am going to go and pull them in. Let's start with Craig Foreman, shall we? Bringing Craig Foreman into the box now, finished P12 overall in LMGT3. Craig, I imagine not quite the result that you were hoping for, but getting to the end of the race here, really important after the minor chaos that was Sebring last week.
Yeah, it was a bit of a shame, really. But yeah, it was struggling with sort of grip and getting the car to sort of turn in, which I think everybody's sort of struggling with at the moment. But yeah, it was a bit of a shame, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said at the top of the stream, the BMWs can really struggle by nature of being a front-engine car. Those front tyres do tend to burn their way through the best of the grip relatively quickly. Did you feel that?
Yeah, no, I did. Yeah, it's especially the last turn. It really does. The near side front tyre really does degrade quickly if you don't take that corner right.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously the opening two rounds of the season have both been sprint races, but looking forward to round number 3, we are into the first endurance race on the calendar at Imola. How are you feeling about the endurance style races? Obviously an hour and 40 minutes, so need for possibly a couple of pit stops depending on how good you are at fuel saving. But Imola, do you think is a strong track for you?
Yeah, it's a track that I used. I liked in ACC. Sort of changing games, but yeah, I did like that. And Imola, I've done a little bit with LMU. It's a track that I like, so yeah, I'm hoping to do a bit better.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the best of luck to you, mate, and I wish you the best of luck in 2 weeks' time when we return for the Imola Endurance Round.
Yeah, cheers, thanks, Ollie.
Thank you very much, mate. Have a good rest of your night.
And you.
Next up, we will talk to Johan Evora. Johan Evora finishing just inside the top 10 at the very end there, the only Porsche on track, the Porsche LMGT3 having received a relatively heavy bop in the most recent update from the Le Mans Ultimate Studios. So Johan, must have been a pretty difficult race for you in that Porsche.
Yeah, it was a pretty difficult race because first I missed my qualification. So I started 30. And out of the last turn, I have literally no top speed. So it was pretty difficult to defend here.
Yeah, absolutely. So a very, very good job for you to finish in that top 10. Portimao is quite a unique track in terms of elevation change. Do you think that is something that you enjoy about this track or something that you find a little bit more difficult?
I think it's I love the elevation on this track, but there one turn when I have wait, sorry. I have some difficulties to find a breaking point. So because it's almost I don't see.
I think I know. Is
overall.
it the two right-handers over the top of the hill coming into sector 3, where you just can't see
No,
the corners at all?
it's at sector 2. Like you
Oh,
have after the long straight, you have the left turn,
yes.
and after that you have the right, left, and after there's the right. And this
Yes.
one.
Yeah. No, I know the corner you're talking about. Downhill kind of sweeper, right-hander.
Yeah.
Quite difficult to find the braking zone for. Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for coming in and talking with us, and I wish you the best of luck for the endurance round at Imola next time out in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Thank you too.
Thank you
Have a
very
nice
much,
day.
mate. Yeah, have a good rest of your evening. Bye. Next up, should we talk to? Do you reckon should we talk to Rasmus Andreasen from the Hypercars, or shall we get the top two in LMGT3 in and see what they have to think about that race?
Let's get some hypercars in.
Let's get the Hypercar in. Wonderful. We'll talk to Rasmus Andreasen then. Rasmus, how was that race for you? Obviously, not quite the result you might have been hoping for after the opening round, but P7 overall. Obviously, some hard fights throughout the race with a couple of the other Ferraris that were out on track, and then almost being caught at the end by Nico Lauch. But overall, how was the race for you?
Well, you summed it up at the start pretty great. The first two rounds have been complete contrast to each other. The first round is Sebring, the fastest car, we'll say, on track, but didn't really have the pace to pass Nico back then. And this race really struggling for pace. A bit of tire temperature had an effect, but also I struggled a lot with low speed turning, also when there was elevation, some rear instability, and general just rear instability along with front understeer. So just didn't get the balance right.
Yeah, so the two things you really don't want to have troubles with at Portimao, pretty much. Yeah, rear stability is not ideal when there's a lot of over crest acceleration zones. That yes,
Exactly.
tends to not be ideal for putting the power down.
Exactly. Going into this round, I did feel I was kind of on the back foot compared to Sebring. Usually, I love this track, but it wasn't really my strongest one, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I kind of expect I will be around top 5. I say if I kind of scrap the podium home, I would be extremely happy. But going into qualifying, could see, okay, if I can get a top 5, that will be maximum for me. So I could have got P6, but yeah, made a small mistake, left the door open into turn 11, I think it's called. Yeah, turn 11. So I didn't really have the tires, the grip to get close enough to make a move. So
yeah,
that's how
sure.
it is.
Looking forward to the next round at Imola. Obviously, the first of the longer 1 hour 40-minute endurance rounds. Do you think that'll be a stronger race for you? Hopefully.
Definitely, yes. Usually, I race for many years, also other endurance championships, and my strongest point is usually when the races are longer, when it's over a longer stint, with strategy involved, and also just the consistency of running like a 2 hour or even maybe 4 hour races, even 24 hours. Have I done? Not alone, obviously. So yeah, I feel confident. Imola is a track I usually perform quite well at. So I'm just getting to grip with the Ferrari. It drives differently compared to some of the other cars I've tried. So yeah, I feel optimistic.
That's good. That's really good to hear. Well, I wish you the best of luck for Imola in 2 weeks' time, and I'm sure we will be talking to you again come the end of that race.
Yes, sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Rasmus. Have a good rest of your evening.
You too. Cheers.
Bye. Bye. And now we'll bring into the box Aidan Russell, finished P2 in LMGT3, and I'm sure is going to have some interesting opinions on what went down during that race. Aidan, the top 3 is identical from the one in Sebring, but it feels like there might have been a little bit more drama in terms of it getting to that order than there was in the first round. How was that race for you?
It was definitely a roller coaster.
Yeah.
I thought I was quite excited when I managed to overtake both of the guys, and then I was leading, and then all of a sudden I'm back into P4, chasing through everyone again, and yeah, no, it was a bit of a roller coaster of a race. This race.
Yeah, a roller coaster of a race and a roller coaster of a track as well. It has been a lot of drivers, both on sim and in real life, compare this track to a roller coaster. And it means that getting a car set up for it is very difficult, especially a front-engined car like the Mustang. Did you feel the effect of having that front engine on the tyres coming towards the end of the race?
I felt it a little bit on the left-hand side. I could definitely feel that, especially around the last corner. It was hard to kind of keep the rear stable because you had so much load going onto the left-hand side. So the left-hand tyres definitely towards the end were struggling quite a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Thankfully, the next round at Imola, the first of the endurance rounds, hour and 40-minute long, hopefully will be slightly less busy, slightly less chaotic for you than this race was, and hopefully slightly kinder on the tyres. Obviously, less sustained cornering at Imola. Do you think it'll be a stronger track for you? Maybe a chance to take your first win of the season after finishing second twice?
I definitely think so. I'm hoping to finally get a win. But Christoph is just too quick. I mean, he's got good quali pace. I think I could touch him. I could try take pole off him, but his race pace is just unbelievable. So I'm hoping to give him a bit more of a chance next race.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we wish you the best of luck, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you at the end of the Imola race in 2 weeks' time.
Hopefully. Thank you.
Thank you, Aidan. Have a good rest of your evening.
You too. Ciao.
Bye. Bye. And that means there's only one man left to interview, Christoph Rappel, the eventual winner of the LMGT3 class, won in the first round as well in Sebring. I feel like this race was a little bit more of a complicated win than the one at Sebring was. Give us some insight into how that race went for you, Christoph.
Yeah, definitely. I still don't know what happened in turn 1 at lap 2. I just spun out on a braking. And then I just tried to avoid getting hit, which I luckily did. And then I rejoined with at like 5th or 4th. And then I had the fight with the Aston and Aiden Russell, which was one of the most intense things I had. Like I lost the car like 4 times nearly. But yeah, I luckily got it back to P1.
Yeah, it seemed like a really intense race at the front of the LMGT3 pack. Kind of generally 3 or 4 cars covered by only a second or so. So really intense racing at the front of LMGT3. I'm sure you'll be hoping for a slightly easier time of things next round. Obviously, the first of the endurance races at Imola. Do you think that's going to be a strong track for you? One where you'll be able to continue this kind of winning form that you're on at the moment?
I think I will have the pace because it's quite a good track for me on this game. And I did already a few like longer races in the Ferrari already. But I'm a bit scared of the strict track limits, to be honest. But yeah, gonna watch out for the track limits in 2 weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I wish you the best of luck, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you again after the Imola race. Thank you very much for joining us in the box this evening and for joining us on track. And you have a good rest of your evening. Thank you, Christoph.
You too. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye. Well then, that rounds out what was an incredibly, chaotic, busy, action-packed round 2 here at the Autodromo Internacional do Algarve in the south of Portugal. Just an incredible race all around. There was spins, there was thrills, there was contact, there was some crazy overtaking maneuvers up and down the pack. There was some incredible avoiding maneuvers for some of the attempted overtakes up and down the pack. Everything that you could want, and a hypercar order that seems to be completely inverted from what it was in the opening round at Sebring. Yeah, so thank you very much, everyone who has joined us on YouTube this evening. It is greatly appreciated your support for the Virtual Motorsport Series. If you haven't had a chance already, hit that thumbs up button. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe. Check out the links in our bio as well. Go and follow the Instagram to keep up with all of the final finishing orders. Head over to the website to check out the current championship standings for all the different splits as well, and to check out some of our brilliant sponsors, such as BPTuning, the official sponsor of the VMS Contender Series. From us, that is going to be everything. I've been Ollie, and he has been Charlie, and thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, guys.